Hello, 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 and welcome to the ACCSS Bronze and Gold Splits Round 4 here at Spa. It's got a very exciting race coming up for you this evening. We've got a night race here at Spa, so we're just getting our Bronze Split drivers underway for qualifying. My name is Roy Weller, and I will be your host for this evening. So without further ado, let's go check in with our drivers out on track for the bronze split qualifying. So taking to the track nice and early is Eric Strom in the black and green Aston Martin. As we're just approaching the twilight hours here at Spa in Belgium. The sun setting and the track temperature expected to be dropping here as the session and the evening goes on. We should start to see, well, we should see the track improving and the times coming down all throughout the session. So it's going to be who can stay out the longest. Oof, as Eric has a big old slide into the wall there, and I expect he will be returning to the pit lane and readjusting his strategy for this session. So we will instead check in with Adam Burks, who thought he was going to have to sit out this evening. He's just had his COVID booster, I believe, so good on Adam for getting stuck in there, and hopefully his arm's not giving him too much of a problem. So as Adam crosses the line to start his first flying lap of the session, the newish BMW M4 GT3 with his distinctive grey and red livery. A number of drivers who have now started their first flying lap, so we should start to see some times coming in very shortly. We'll start to see what sort of pace we can expect from our bronze drivers this evening. One thing I found with the BMW last night, and I admittedly found out probably far too late, is that 6th gear in this car is absolute trash. It's designed for running at the Nürburgring, and as such has just got far too much, far too long a gear, and is no useful on any sort of modern race circuit. As we come down into the third sector for Adam. Oof, just a little bit of a kick of oversteer as he put the left tyres onto the curb. Still holding it together quite nicely. There we go, we do have times coming in. Just getting slightly confused with what's happening there. So we've got, for Liam Galvin, we've got a 1:21 as Adam Burks goes and takes the provisional pole with a 1:21.2, which has just been beaten by Matthew Morgan, the driver who we saw take an overall podium in the Wet Mazzano race just 1 week
So
ago.
Rob, yeah.
Driver looking to walk the bronze split here, but actually it's currently Andy Behan is sitting out there with a very nice lap for his first attempt, a 2:19.7. From the silver qualifying yesterday, we did see a lot of drivers into the 2:19s and one into the 2:18s. So I'd expect to see a fair few of these bronze split drivers get into the 2-minute 19s. And then, yeah, it remains to be seen what we'll see from our gold splits. Could we even see some 2-minute 17 laps towards the end of this 30-minute qualifying session? We'll check in with another driver who's about to complete a lap. Just keeping it within the lines, so this should still be valid. Just further up the road is Eric Strong. I believe is on their first flying lap after we did see them spin and have impact with the wall earlier. It's a 2-minute 24 for Eric, so not a particularly strong lap, but it's good to get a banker on the board, and he'll be just looking to get a bit of confidence after the impact with the wall a little earlier in this session. But he's got himself a baseline to build on, and that's always a positive thing to have on the board in these qualifying sessions. We check through, try and find a driver who is improving on their time. And one such driver is Michael Aspinall, who's just coming around the third sector now in one of the, well, the loner Lamborghini of bronze split. Here's a lovely sound that car makes, just getting the left wheels out on the curb there, perfectly within track limits for these GT cars around this Spa-Francorchamps circuit. There's Michael crosses the line. It's a small improvement. That's still in the 124s and does not improve on his P14 as of yet. Andy Behan. Currently just coming out of Lecon. And sitting half a second behind Dionysus on provisional pole with a 1:19.2, a very quick lap there from Dionysus. But Behan looking like he could challenge that lap time. Only half a second down, but 4/10 up on his previous best. Just needs to find another couple of tenths somewhere else in the lap, and this could be on for a very quick time.
So Rob, yeah.
And he's just approaching some traffic now. Needs to hope that he doesn't get held up here. Just a couple of corners left of this lap. It's looking like it could be quick. Comes into the bus stop chicane. All important braking zone. So much time can be gained or lost. And it's looking, well, good for Andy. Oh, he gained some time through the bus stop, but just loses it on the exit. And it's a 2:19.3 for Andy, a respectable time, and gives him a good margin back to P3. But he's going to need to dig deep and find a bit more time if he wants to take that blonde split. Oh, hang on. If I'm reading this right, Dionysus has been out on track, set a time, but that's a gold split driver. So the stewards may want to take a look at that one, as bronze split driver out on track outside of his allotted time. But one driver who is allowed to be out on track and is currently going very quickly, that is Matthew Morgan, as the stewards do pick up on the misbehaving gold driver, and he has been promptly disqualified from the session. Unfortunate that, as there's a quite good lap there from Dionysus, but was not his allotted time to be out on track, and very unfortunate. But Matthew Morgan going strong hit, currently 1.2 seconds up on his previous best, but he's got another half a second to find if he wants to be challenging Behan for pole. We know Morgan's got the pace, he's shown that time and time again. But it's just really how is he going to get on with this Spa-Francorchamps circuit? Just over 3 minutes left of qualifying for these bronze split drivers before we see our gold split drivers come out onto the track. And it is a 2:19.7 for Morgan. Jumps above a number of drivers into P2, but still that time from Andy Behan unchallenged as of yet. And not satisfied with his current time, Behan is improving further. He's getting ever closer to that 2:18. So that is a 2:19.2 and widens the gulf between him and the rest of the field. And parks himself off the track, and that will be, I think, the end of Behan's qualifying, as he won't have time to get out and go around on another outlap. So it's going to be up to Matthew Morgan to see if he can find just a half a second. I say just half a second. It is a vast amount of time to be finding, although around this long track at Spa-Francorchamps, you'd be surprised just getting a couple of corners a bit better, getting a couple of your exits a bit better than they were on the previous lap can see you finding bunches of time with these long straights. And Matthew Morgan currently looking like he's got around that half a second. So we'll keep an eye on this lap for Matthew. Could be very close to pole position. He's taking absolutely every single inch of the track he can find. Keeping it within the limits. With just the long run down now to the bus stop chicane. Not really much else in terms of corners. The sweeping curves here can be taken pretty much flat out in most cars. There's just a bus stop chicane to go. Such a tricky complex of corners. And it looks quick. Times, I believe, just slipping away here, and it's off by 1.6 tenths. Just 16 hundredths of a second. And that's going to be disappointing for Morgan. He will get one more attempt, as he did cross the line before the timer ticked over to 15 minutes. So we'll get one final attempt going for pole. But another driver who is currently looking like they're on for a good improvement of their lap is Peter Gilleneck. And we'll keep an eye on this as he comes around the corner, currently looking to be around a second up on his previous best. It's really just pulling it out of the bag here at the dying moments, up to P6 for Gilleneck, and that is a very respectable lap, and well done from the Ferrari driver. Now it's Matthew Morgan. I will get his name right on instinct one time, I do promise. But it's currently looking like he's 2.5 tenths up on his previous best. and really giving it his all in this qualifying session. Does not want to cede pole position in the bronze split, and of course any time gained here is going to be, not necessarily just in front of Behan, but if there are a couple of gold drivers slot in between him, gives him an easier job when it comes to the race. So it's not just out qualifying the other members of your split when you're down in the lower split of one of these races. It's also how much you can out qualify them by. That's the important factor. Because the bigger time gap you have, the more chance you have of drivers slotting into that space and giving you just a little bit of breathing room. But as Matthew Morgan approaches the bus stop chicane, he is currently down on his previous best. But he did look like he didn't have the optimal exit from the bus stop, so there is a chance here. As he comes across the line, and he backed out of it at the last moment. I'm not sure if he just ran out of fuel there. It just sounded like he wasn't on the throttle. And just one final driver to cross the line, and that will be Adam Burks. So he comes to cross the line now. Stays in P4, but P5, but closes up that gap just a little bit to Liam Galvin. And now it is the turn of the gold split drivers to take us around the Spa-Francorchamps circuit. So for this first lap of a gold driver, we will watch our commentator from last night, Paul Glover. Brave man taking the Audi around Spa.
We'll
see how he gets on as he goes up over the top of, or comes out of Eau Rouge and up over Radion. That's the real test of a driver's skill in the Audi. With the short wheelbase, it does occasionally like to turn itself around. So let's see how Paul gets on for the first attempt up out of Radion, and it's a good exit there for Paul. Paul maybe just knowing he's on camera there, giving a little bit of a it's either a flash for the cameras or it's a flash for the slow car ahead. If you're listening, Paul, give us a wave with the wipers. Looking mighty tidy for Paul here, as he's got just one car up ahead. And hopefully he won't be impeded here on his first attempt at the flying lap. Just comes out round Pouon, keeps it nicely within the lines. Looking nice and smooth here for Paul. Ooh, and it's a little kick of oversteer there from the Audi. Does like to do that, but keeps it together, keeps it pointing in the right direction, and we'll get a lap on the board. So just the bus stop chicane to go now for Paul. It's should be fairly straightforward, these next couple of corners. It is a nice looking Audi, must be said, and it would be remiss of me not to mention Paul's podcast, the Race Department podcast, as that is the livery he is running this evening. So if you want to hear Paul talk about all things sim racing, head out over there. But as it just comes out the final corner and down past the finish line, it is a 2:20.9 for Paul, and he will get on his way for another lap. Actually, no, he won't. He will go back to the pit lane. So we will have Richard Christie, who is currently leading the way of our gold split. Currently 0.03 of a second behind Behan on his first attempt. And with these low track temperatures, it does take a couple of laps for the drivers to get the temperatures into the tyres here, so expect the next couple of laps will get quicker for all of these drivers. As the orange McLaren just gets out of the way for Richard there. So he's not losing any time at the moment. Currently looking like he's making a good improvement on his previous best time. The Ferrari ahead, giving him a little bit of a tow, although that will be a potential drop in downforce for Pouon. So not the nicest corner to be following another car through. Ferrari gets nicely out of the way there, and Richard Christie can continue on his way. As he just runs a little bit wide there, and that will be an invalidation for Richard. Coming around to finish his lap is Dominic Ingle in the Team Parker Racing Bentley. Currently half a second up on his previous best, with just the bus stop chicane to go. Could be on for a good time improvement here, and this could see him jump up the standings. Or jump up the grid, I should say. He's actually found some more time through the bus stop chicane, and that is provisional pole for Dominic Ingle. Good time there in the Bentley. And he'll be very pleased with that. Another driver who is on for a big improvement here is Fortis Gilleneck. Just the bus stop chicane to go for Fortis. On the throttle, the short run to the finish line, and that is P2 on the grid for Gilleneck.
So Rob, yeah.
Away for another lap. As the chat is asking for an update on Ed Turrell, we will oblige. Currently running down in... Oh no, that's not Ed Turrell, that's Dan Terry. That's not what I clicked on. Ed Turrell's currently sitting in P18. Don't worry, Mojo Joy, I knew exactly who you were talking about. In the Loki SimSport BMW, Ed Turrell. Currently improving on his previous best. Maybe enough to jump him up by 1 or 2 positions. As he comes around Pouon. Good number of BMWs in the gold split at the moment. It's a popular car. Some say overpowered, some say just new, but remains to be seen. I'm sure that will come out in the wash as more and more drivers try it out. But Ed obviously had some problems in the third sector in his final laps. Has found a decent chunk of time here. This would be a good improvement if he can just hook up the bus stop chicane. It's a decent exit from Turrell. This should see him into the low 20s, and it does. That is a 2:20.3. Jumps a couple of drivers, gets him ahead of the bronze split driver of Adam Burks. Just 4 bronze split drivers ahead of him. We are starting to see at the top, these times are beginning to plummet. As Sander Toth, who's currently improving on their previous best, come across the line for a 1:18. Well, again another 1:18.7. Gets off the racing line and looks like going to return to the garage. Will potentially have a chance to get out again for a splash and dash if he wants to, but already a very solid time. And not quite as many drivers into the 118s as we may have expected. But Richard Christie on a real flying lap here. I don't want to give Richard the commentator's curse, but if what I'm seeing on my timing screens here is to be believed, Richie could be challenging for pole position here. This is a very, very solid looking lap. And Sander Toft's got to be looking on in some trepidation. Oh, as Christie just runs a little bit too wide there. And that will be this lap invalidated, so a couple more attempts for Christie. As it's Nicholas Vesselberg. The run down to the start-finish line puts himself into P5. Another driver who's on an improving lap is Florian Sachs in the Space Jam Racing Rabbits Lexus. Not much modification these drivers can do to their Lexi. Ooh, as Florian really does just miss the apex there. Doesn't lose too much time from it. And moves himself up into P12. And Torben Paulik. It's early on in his lap, but is currently looking on for a good improvement here. The bright green wheels on his BMW. His pace is certainly better than his taste. And with Richard Christie having returned to the pit lane, we're not going to see a another lap from him, so will start this race P7 at best, behind Andy Behan. Torben brings us around the final few corners. All running a bit wide there, and that will be that lap invalidated, so Torben will get one more attempt at a lap as long as he's got enough fuel. But behind, driver who is on for an improving lap, and a valid one at that, is Daniel Bidet. Final corner to go. Should be a good improvement if he gets a decent exit. It looks good. And that's up to P6 for Bidet. Puts himself clear of the bronze pack behind and seems to be very happy with that lap and has returned to the pit lane. As we get to the end of the session, drivers now beginning to see the checkered flag, so this is the last chance anyone will have to set a flying lap. just keeping it within the lines and on the track. So just one more corner to go for Maitland-Price. Such a tricky corner to get right, so easy to lose time just on the exit. But Maitland-Price has improved, and that is up to P9 for Richard Maitland-Price. Next to complete their lap actually will be our head honcho Dan Terry. Moves up into P16, especially behind by Paulik. Moves himself up into P11. And I believe the final driver to see the checkered flag in the session will be that of Nick Vargas. He's currently on for a good lap time here. Could see him jump way up the order, and that is P6 for Vargas. So please do bear with us as we go to a quick ad break, and we'll be back very shortly for tonight's race. Welcome back, everyone, as we take you through the grid for tonight's race here at Spa. We have got Sander Toff ahead of Hershey, and just behind we have Ingle in the Bentley, followed by Galenos, Nicholas Vesselberg, Vargas, Badej, Behan, Christie, Maitland-Price, Morgan, Paulik, Sachs, Wright, Montero, Terry, Barr, Fabini, Sanchez-Diaz, Galvin, Turrell, Schall, Zaransky, Burks, Paul Glover, Gilleneck, Bell, Shungle, Saracen, Schittel, Morris, Pedetto, Strom. Then finally, apologies, my timing tower is not allowing me to see who else is in this race. Yeah, I must apologise for my unprofessionalism here. So we have Cooper, Aspinall, Wong, Dionysus. As the drivers lead us away for their formation lap, we will be back very shortly. So drivers, get us underway for green flags here at Spa. Welcome back everyone, as we get ready to go racing here at Spa-Francorchamps. So our pole sitter Sander Toff leads us around the bus stop chicane as our grid forms up behind him. Final opportunity for some tyre warming. Everyone gets themselves into their grid position for tonight's race. Oh, just a little bit of jostling for position at the back there as we come down. We've got one car in the pit lane for a pit lane start. And we're green flag and we are underway here at Spa. As we've got a little bit of moving around at the back, but so far so clean, I believe. As Sander Toff has got a good start, and behind him the bronze leader of Andy Behan is just, I believe, Richard Christie looking to come around the inside. They're all through fairly cleanly now. The top of the field, Sander Toff already pulled out a 1.5 second lead over Hershey, but goes very wide there, going out onto the marbles at Pouon has allowed Hershey to close up the gap, but Hershey has to be occupied with watching his mirrors as Ingle is closing up. So far, good start for Sander Toff. We did see him exploring the track limits a little bit, but has managed to maintain his lead of this race. Oh, as behind, Dominic Ingle taking to the grass and is having to wait on the outside of the... Oh, as we've got some... There looks like it's Michael Morgan spun there at the bus stop, and it's... Oh, looks like it's all going wrong here. Some real chaos, and Dominic Ingle just having to wait to allow the whole field to pass before he can get underway again. Oh, and that is appalling luck for the driver who did so well to get himself P3 on the grid. And an early pit stop and outside of the pit window. It's not gone well for the Bentley driver. The other driver we did see spun round was that of Matthew Morgan. Currently in 4th in the bronze split, looking to challenge Torben Pulek. Is that our very own Glover off the track there? Don't think it was actually. I think that looked like an Aston Martin. I think that may have been Bell. He's just taking a little bit of an off-road excursion. After his disqualification from qualifying, Dionysus is trying to find his way up the order. Currently sitting in P26, so it's been a good start for the Aston Martin driver. Has managed to make some moves and get himself up into P26. Obviously got some pace. Did show that with a 2:19 in qualifying. Just so happened that he put that time in the wrong session and thus was disqualified. Take a look closer to the front of the field. We have a fight here over what would be P9 in the gold split, as Florian Sachs attempting to get the run on Romain Fabini. That Lexus with superb straight line speed, looking to find a way around the McLaren, has opted for the outside line, which will turn onto the inside. The second part of Lecombe, and Fabini giving the Lexus no room at all there, and gets a handful of oversteer in return. And this has now opened the door a bit to Sanchez Diaz behind Sachs to start attacking. But Sachs has not lost contact with Fabini. And yeah, have another chance as they come out of this second sector, and it's going to be the challenge of who can get the best exit. But for now, they remain in formation. Not much can be done around this section of the track without the driver ahead making some sort of mistake. This Fabini goes very wide there, out onto the AstroTurf, and that won't do very well for traction. So it looks like both Fabini and Sachs got a good run around here. Don't think either will have an advantage at this point, and Sachs is just a bit too far back to try anything into the bus stop. So this fight will go on in formation for another lap. Well, as we see, I believe that was Leonard Chungel in the cream and red Porsche, who we just saw taking a little bit of an excursion around the bus stop chicane. Needs to be careful he doesn't pick up too many track cuts for those sorts of lines, as the game doesn't take those too kindly. But Morgan looking to find his way up the field. We know this driver has pace. They're in the bronze split, but they definitely have the pace to take the fight to the gold split drivers. So we'll be interested to see how far he can move himself back up the order after a spin. As Fabini and Sachs side by side. Oh, and there is a bit of door banging here. I say a bit of door banging, quite a lot of door banging, and that is that is I'd like don't especially want to, but let's see that again. So Remain and Sachs bump doors, and I don't think Sachs expected to have the Aston on his outside there and just pitches him into a spin, and that I can see the stewards might want to take a look at that one, because that was not especially clean there for Florian, and he will be kicking himself for that one, I expect. Well, only 10 minutes into this race, and it feels like already we've seen an awful lot of action. There's Adam Burks takes to the AstroTurf behind Morgan. As Morgan just runs a little bit wide there. I suspect he may have picked up a track cut violation of that, but it looks like he wants to try and make a move around the inside. And with Gilleneck trying to have a look on the outside of Shungle, that did open the door for Morgan, but Morgan way out on the AstroTurf and the rumble strips there. He's got to be careful. And just about finds room to slot his Mercedes in front of the Ferrari of Gilleneck. And that's a strong move there to move him one place further up the order. And that was a position in his split for Morgan, so an important move to make, and a very nice overtake. Whereas Gilleneck looks to make the pass back, the better run out of Radion and down the Kemmel straight, as Morgan has to slot back in behind, and this puts them both at pressure from Andrew Burks behind. Andrew Burks, who I will remind you, is just recovering from a COVID booster. Yes, I believe that's the case. I may have completely the Adam Burks. Did I say Andrew? It is Adam Burks. I'm just getting all names mixed up tonight. Sachs has now dropped back behind the McLaren of Liam Galvin. He's got the run on him here. We'll have the inside line for this corner, but it's such a tight corner. You don't really also not tight, but such a fast corner. You don't want to be going side by side, but Florian Sachs has made it work and has got past the bronze split driver of Liam Galvin and can start heading on after Romain Fabini. Dan Terry is diving in for an early pit stop. Well, it does look like there's some heavy damage on the on that BMW, as he's going to be having a very long second stint. Is Dan Terry? Still 47.5 minutes remaining of this race, and well, he's going to have an awful lot of fuel in that car for that final stint. As Matthew Morgan looking to find a way past Gilleneck again. Is he going to try anything on the braking into the comp? Too far back at the moment. As Gilleneck gets a big moment of oversteer there. Narrowly avoids the front of Matthew Morgan. And, well, in the end, A free place for Morgan. We'll check in further down the field and see how our very own commentary team's Paul Glover is getting on in the Audi. Oh, there's, I believe that is actually Gilleneck in front of him. Will be confirmed once the timing tower updates, but I know for a fact that Saracens are not in a Ferrari. There's the 151 Ferrari, who is has another moment of. That was a very odd moment of snap oversteer there for Gilleneck. Let's see if we can see that one again as I just try and find the driver on my timing tower. What did happen there? Oh, so it's gone wide around Pouon. Let's just see it. Oh, perhaps just a bit too much inside curb, and that was very unfortunate. So two big impacts with the big old impact with the wall. But opts to stay out for another lap, obviously not wanting to run with such a heavy fuel load to the end of the race, but that's two big impacts with the wall, and that Ferrari cannot be feeling good at the moment. As Florian Sachs is back on to the rear wing of Romain Fabini. As Florian's definitely eager to make this pass. You can see under braking closing up that gap. You can see he can carry the speed through the corners, but it's all about this exit from this corner. And it does look like Florian was able to take or get a lot closer to that apex there, has managed to make that corner a lot shallower for himself. So we have to see, is he going to have the pace to get a run on Fabini here? He's got the pace, but is there the room? So he's close. Is there an opportunity to try something into the bus stop chicane? Fabini covers the inside, not giving Sachs the room as he's sniffing all over the rear diffuser of that McLaren. Was Florian's using all of the track at his disposal. Seems that both of these cars are quite evenly set up here. The neither are opting to go for a complete different downforce setup to get that top speed on the Kenmore straight. So it's a tight fight here. So we're starting to see what I imagine is the first of some of our planned pit stops. Ooh, as well, Florian just has to, I guess, straighten up the steering there by the looks of things to avoid a collision with the back of Fabini, and that compromised his exit. So I don't think he's going to be close enough to make a pass on this lap. We'll see how they get on as they come down to the bus stop chicane. Looked like Fabini just ran a little bit wide there, but it's not enough for Sachs to get into a position for making an overtake. Before a little bit of a bump there, Florian has to back out, make sure he doesn't gain an advantage from contact with another driver. It looks like this fight is going to go on for a good number of laps yet. So go have a look further down the field where we've got 5 drivers occupying the same 50 metres of track. But the fight we're interested in is this Dionysus on the back of Zaransky. Matthew Morgan bringing himself into this fight as well. Oh! I say Matthew Morgan bringing himself into this fight, as we will go and see that again. Oof. As that is quite the impact there. Finds himself flying onto the opposite side of the track. And that is going to be a long old drive back round to the pit lane for Matthew Morgan, as that Mercedes looks like it is now a complete handful to drive. As he pulls over to the road to let someone pass, and well, what was looking like a good fight up the field for Matthew Morgan has turned into a world of pain, as that Mercedes, you've got to say, it looks pretty ruined, and it's going to be a long time into the long time sitting in the pit lane waiting for that one to be repaired. But a number of drivers who would have been oblivious to what just happened to Matthew Morgan behind them would be Dionysus and Zaransky, who are caught up in a fight of their own at the moment. And it's Dionysus who's looking to try and make a move around the inside into this twisting section of track. Whew. Zaransky just maybe just a little unsure of where Dionysus was and didn't want to turn in and get too close. But that has given Dionysus the position, as Zaransky peels off into the pit lane. It means Glendy can go and start chasing down Liam Galvin, and Danachun go ahead. Oh, I was going to say check in with some of our bronze split drivers, as Gilleneck goes for a big old swerve into a wall. Let's just see what happened there. So coming down the start-finish straight. Doesn't look like... Oh, perhaps just a bit late on the brakes there and takes avoiding action from the back of the Lexus. I was wondering if he might have been forced a bit wide there, but no, just looks like outbraked himself and, well, took the honourable decision to make sure his was the only car that was damaged from that. And, well, that's the third encounter with the wall that we've seen Peter Gilleneck have in, well, just as many laps, I think. Oh, and just to confirm, these drivers are still at it. Sachs and Fabini within a second of each other yet again. I imagine Sachs is getting pretty tired of the view of that rear diffuser on Fabini's McLaren. But until he can get himself an opportunity to overtake, he's going to be looking at that for just a while longer. Behind these two is Torben Pulek and Schull. Very close together on track. Sachs now looking for a way past. Looking like there may have been a little bit of weaving involved down that straight, or maybe just Sachs just trying to find a way, find himself a gap to get through. But takes a very, very deep exit into Lecombe, and that compromised his line. So that gap between himself and Fabini has now increased for a while. Gives Fabini a little bit of breathing room until Sachs can close that gap back up. Oh, as we have a car in the wall. That is Dan Terry. What has happened there? Oh, Dan Terry getting the blinkers on as the McLaren goes very sideways. Oh, and that is a big impact there. As Dan Terry finds himself in the wall and has to very cautiously back himself out and get himself back on track. And with Dan Terry, I think, already made his pit stop. I believe making an early pit stop for damage already in this race, is likely to have to go and take another journey into pit road. And yeah, I think we're seeing another example of damage, as our chat points out. I suspect that will be a another trip into the pit lane for Dan Terry. Let's see, as he comes into the bus stop chicane, and yep, there's another pit stop for Dan Terry, and that is going to hurt his chances in this race. Also, something happened to Sachs here, as he has fallen right back. I'm just going to go back 1 minute and see if this can find what's happened here. So he's on the back of Fabini, as we've seen so many times before. Goes to the outside. I'm seeing, is there contact there between the two of them? It's close racing, it looks like, at the moment. Sachs, oh, did he just outbrake himself there? Oh, and then big old slide, and has to wait for everyone to go past. Gets on the blinkers. I'm not quite sure who he's blinking there. Maybe himself. There is a tyre wall there. You can't cut the corner quite that much, and that is very, very horrible for Florian Sachs. As well, what was looking like an overtaking opportunity turned into a disaster for him. As we just saw before, that was him running wide. So, from fighting with Fabini over 9th, now finds himself down into P14. And I believe actually further back than that, as I believe that is Paul Glover in front of him. The race department podcast Audi. That's our race leader. Enters pit road. Sander Toth. We're beginning to see a fair amount of field spread here, as Leonard Schungel dives into the pit lane and releases Glendy Dionysus into some clean air. With Romain Fabini just a few seconds up the road. It did look like Paul just had a little bit of a wobbly exit there coming out the top of Radion. Has got the inside line into Lecombe. Is going to have to be brave on the brakes, but nope. Opts to slot in behind Florian Sachs. So Florian has got himself past Paul Glover and can start recovering from that incident that occurred down in the bus stop chicane just a short lap ago. Well, as Dionysus up on the inside of Romain Fabini, and the driver who showed so much pace in qualifying, only to have his lap deleted for setting it in the wrong half of that qualifying session, has now got himself up past the McLaren of Romain Fabini into P9 of this race, and currently P7 of the gold split. Of course, we have had a number of pitters from the front of this field, so the net position may be slightly lower back, but having started from the back of the grid, it's a good showing there from Dionysus. Definitely showing that he's got the, not only has he got the pace at this track, he's also got the racecraft to get himself up and past some of these quick drivers. With more and more drivers now taking their mandatory pit stop in this race. We check in with Sander Toth in the JP Motorsports McLaren. Has got himself a decent amount of clean air in front of him, 7 seconds to the next car on track, and it can just start hot lapping here. He's got a heavy tank of fuel and brand new tyres on his wagon. Can make sure that he holds on to that P1 once the leaders of this race start pitting. As you see a car off track there, I'm not sure who that is. Looked like it was a white Mercedes, so I hope that's not Matthew Morgan having more incidents, but it looked like it could have been. So they're in the same area of the track, and that's really unfortunate for Morgan actually looking like he's still carrying damage. So not sure if that's been another incident for Morgan after he's served his pit stop or just opted not to repair the damage. But for a driver who was looking like he was on for a certain victory in this bronze split, with the pace he's been showing, now running down at the back of the field with heavy damage, it seems to all be going wrong for the Mercedes driver. Another driver who's been suffering with damage is Peter Gilleneck. I believe he is now taking a trip into pit road and has got a nice shiny new Ferrari with no damage, so can start attacking once again, and has just made his way past Hugh Morris. For a 9th place in a bronze split. So a good recovery from Gilleneck, and with still a couple of drivers from the bronze split left to pit. could find himself moving further up the order by the end of this race. The two leaders who have yet to make their pit stop are Hershey and Vargas, and with Sander Toft currently down in P13 with the fastest lap of this race, leading those of this race who have pitted. It'll be interesting to see how this all shakes out. So as they come through the bus stop chicane, will either of these two decide to dive into the pit lane, as Hershey does, releases Vargas into the lead of the race for now. So we'll see what sort of in-lap can Vargas do if he does indeed pit next lap. I imagine a pit stop for him must be coming up soon, as we have just 25 minutes of this race remaining. Elias Barr, currently down in P24 in the Aspinall Racing Porsche, currently looking to find a way past Hugh Morris. Both drivers have pitted in this race, so this is a pure race for position and no chance of an overcut or undercut for either of these two. It's just a straight out sprint to the end. So this move is going to have to be made on track if Barr does want to get past, and he certainly looking like he wants to find a way past. Well, you don't really want to be going side by side into Eau Rouge, but opts to back out of it, aims to get the better run out of the top of Radion. He is right on the rear diffuser of that Ferrari as they come down towards Lecombe. Side by side into the braking zone. Barr just about manages to cut ahead. He's got a good exit there as Morris runs very wide. And that is potentially opening the door for Fabini behind. So remain Fabini right on the back of Hugh Morris now. And Fabini, not sure what's happened with Fabini. He's fallen quite far down the order from where he was before. With Sachs in the pits at the moment, be interesting to see where these two filter out. Well, one thing the drivers had to have considered coming into this race: track temperatures will be dropping as this race goes on. I remember seeing in last night's race, we did see, I believe the race started at 18 degrees, dropped down to about 14 by the end. So in the pit stops you maybe just want a little bit more pressure in your tyres, and yeah, potentially some of these drivers could have been caught out by that, and that could see them dropping a little bit off the pace. Fabini exceptionally close to the back of Morris now, trying to find a way past, but no dice just yet. I believe Sachs, yes, Sachs is way out of the pits by now. So not sure what's happened to Fabini. Whether there was a moment in his pit stop, because he is way down the order. It's a good 30 seconds behind Sachs at this point, after Sachs having his moment and dropping right down. I have to say, it must have been a big incident for Fabini, or just a horrible, horrible pit stop. As Sachs has been passed by Paul Glover. Paul Glover in the Audi is making his way forward in this race. Glover showing some strong race pace here tonight. Was a little bit off the pace during qualifying, but has shown that he's definitely got what it takes to bring the fight to these other races when it matters. He's currently sitting in P15 overall, which translates into P11 in Gold Split. There's still a few drivers that are yet to serve their mandatory pit stop. So looking good for Paul Glover at the moment. Just needs to make sure that he can keep that Audi tame for the final 20 minutes of this race. And also that he can put up with the pressure that Sachs is trying to apply here. Yeah, with the 1.8 patch, does seem that the Lexus is a quick car now. And it's always been quick and pretty stable, but yeah, from what I've heard in the 1.8 patch, it's really a top contender is the Lexus. But Paul doing well to put up with the pressure that Sachs is applying. And as our final few drivers are diving into pit road, the last of our drivers not to pit is Adam Burks, and as I say that, he is now in the pit lane. So we check back in with a driver who I believe is the net leader of this race still, Sander Toth. As he comes into the bus stop chicane. See Nick Vargas still sitting in the pit lane. That Lexus car being serviced by its mechanics, but it's Sander Toth who comes into La Source and will be coming down through Eau Rouge up Radion, and I believe will re-inherit lead of this race. But actually Vargas is coming out of the pit lane now. Oh, actually no, yep, Sander Toth comfortably in the lead, but Vargas looks like he's made that overcut work. Has come out ahead of Hershey. And after Hershey's pit stop, Vargas able to put in some solid laps and has taken P2 in this race. So solid work from the Lexus driver. As Dionysus finds himself on the back of Leonard Schungel. Dionysus really standout drive from this Aston driver. Has been fighting his way through the field from being disqualified from qualifying. Has well put in a drive not too much unlike Lewis Hamilton's at Brazil. It has to be pleased with this race, coming up from I believe it was P38 at the start of this race, now currently in P11. And is putting Leonard under some real pressure here. Well, And these two able to go wheel to wheel through a lot of these fast corners. Some real awareness and driving skill on display here. Oh, as I say that, as they go into a synchronized slide there, not sure if there was contact. Did look like there may have been, and that resurgent drive from Dionysus looks like it's taken a little bit of a turn. And somewhere, looks like Sachs has made it back past Paul Glover. Not quite sure how that happened. We'll go back and take a look. Oh, this definitely happened before this. Apologies, we just have to wait this out. Paul Glover keeping with Sachs here. And it's good to see that Dionysus and Shingo are back together on track as well. But I would not be surprised if a penalty comes out of that incident, as it did appear that contact was made. But will be down to the stewards to see whether that was anything more than a racing incident. But Leonard Chungle's not going to wait to see if a penalty is applied to his competitor, and is putting the pressure on Dionysus. Now Dionysus, who is closing in on the back of Paul Glover. Although as I say that, gap opens up a little bit, but now seems that Dionysus has got the drive here. He's got the pace, he's got the exit. Dionysus looking for the inside, not quite close enough in this instance. Going to have to slot in behind Paul Glover and wait for another opportunity. Well, what happened with Matthew Morgan was a horrendous crash coming out of the top of Radion. Just completely lost his Mercedes and straight into the barrier. As, oh, was that just Paul Glover allowing Dionysus through there? It looked like a bit of a strange one. Looked like he left an awful lot of room on the inside there. As Paul Glover seems to be struggling just a little bit for grip coming out of Radion, and that allowed Dionysus to pull away. Checking further down the field with Ed Turrell. Another one of these drivers with a confusing driver number. Number 488 running the BMW. Overtaking Hugh Morris in the Ferrari 488. It's a good move by Ed Turrell, and the next car down the road will be remain Fabini, although a good 7 seconds ahead. Will be a tall order for Ed to make up the time. So it looks like he will have to settle for P24 in this race, unless something happens with the race up ahead. As Rainer Schull is on the back of Mike Bell. Oh, as Bell looks like he completely misses the corner. And slightly outbrakes himself there, and that has allowed Schull to come up through into P17 of this race. So what was looking like it could have been a little bit of an interesting fight has resulted in Schull moving up the road, and Bell can now relax again and concentrate on not losing too much time to the bronze split drivers behind him. Kai Zaharansky is on the back of Leonard Chungel. Zaharansky carrying a 5-second penalty, so making up this position on track not necessarily going to get him too much, but for the next 10 minutes of this race is probably not going to be content with just sitting behind Leonard, and we want to go on the attack if he can. As we now settle into the final minutes of this race, quite a lot of field spread at this time. Drivers just finding themselves some room and nursing that car home. Ooh, there's a little bit of a kick of oversteer there for Zaharansky. Needs to be careful not to get too many track cut violations. Good evening. You've missed a quite a tense race tonight. Some close wheel-to-wheel action as we settle down into the final few minutes. Yeah, Vargas has closed up the gap to Sander Toff, having managed to get the overcut on Hershey and regain P2. He's finding some pace here in the final minutes of this race, and has pulled within a second of Sander Toff, and this could get interesting towards the end of this race, especially as Sander Toff starting to hit traffic here. Is going to be screaming for that blue flagged car to get out of his way. Does not want his race to be impacted by lapped cars. As the Aston Martin just about gets out of the way and doesn't get collected by the Lexus of Vargas. I think you've tuned in at just the right moment as this fight for the lead is hotting up. Earlier in this race it did look like Sander Toff might just be able to walk away with this one. But Nick Vargas found some pace towards the end, and this could go down to the wire in the final 6 minutes. And I imagine this fight is also bringing in Hershey behind. So it looks like we're going to have a three-way fight for the lead of this race. And with still 5 minutes to go, this is going to be an awful lot of pressure for Sander Toff to put up with in the dying moments. The time the way it is could potentially see 3 laps after this current lap. So plenty of opportunities for either one of these drivers to make a move for first place. So don't look away. This race is going to continue to the end. Vargas exceptionally close to the back of Toth here. You can hear engines of more back markers up ahead. It looks like there's some back markers in a fight for position up ahead, and Toff's going to be looking. Oh, actually no, there's a back marker all on its own, so not too bad for Toff, but he's going to be hoping that that back marker sees him. And there's quite a distance to it now, but with the pace that Toff's been showing tonight, it's not going to be long before they catch up to the back of it. As Vargas looks to the inside, earned himself the right to space, has been given it. And well, it's close, it's super close. They bang doors, and Hershey looking to just profit if anything does go awry here in this fight. But so far they're keeping it clean with just a little bit of banging, a little bit of rubbing, but that's racing. Yeah, Vargas is rapid at the moment. Just dropped off a bit from the back of Toff. It gives Toff a little bit of breathing room. This is going to go down to the very final lap here at Spa. Toff still holding that fastest lap, but at the moment it seems to be Nick Vargas who has the pace, and as they're awfully close to the back of the back marker, who just pulls off of the racing line, allows both Toff and Vargas through, and now through comes Hershey as Vargas has picked up a drive-through penalty for track limit violations, dives into the pit lane to serve his penalty, and that is Vargas out of this fight for the lead in such a horrible manner. Picking up a drive-through penalty, he's going to go from second in this race. Just going to see him tumbling down the order. There's such a long pit lane here at Spa. It's a good minute to a minute and a half to get out the other end of that. But it's Hershey who picks up the baton and takes the fight to Toff. 1 bit seconds back at the moment. That remains to be seen whether he can close up that gap and take the fight to Toff as Vargas was. But if it's drama that you came here for tonight, everyone, It's a drama that you're getting. Yet Vargas looking like he was on to potentially win this race. And I think that is Matthew Morgan off track again, just getting way out of the way. Has not been a good race for the Mercedes driver. Currently finding himself down in P33. The last of the drivers who isn't actually currently in the pit lane. 2 laps off the lead of this race, and was just going to be watching the clock and just willing this race to end, I think, is Matthew Morgan. Further back is Glendy Dionysus on the back of Florian Sachs. Both drivers who we've seen in fights chasing down other cars. It's now the 2 of them who are separated by much less than a second at the moment. So we go back to our leaders. So Sandertov crosses the start-finish line, and that means we will have 1 more lap here at Spa. We are on the final lap of this race, and as we say, the pit lane is extremely brutal here. Nick Vargas finds himself down in P12 after serving that drive-through penalty for P2. So not a good outcome for Vargas. For Dionysus runs wide and needs to be careful that Dionysus does not pick up a drive-through penalty as well. And I actually wonder if it was a tactical mistake there for Vargas to actually serve that drive-through penalty. So I believe, with it only being a couple of laps to the end of this race, he could have opted not to serve that penalty and only take 30 seconds at the end of the race, which would have seen him drop back less than actually driving through the pit lane. As remain Fabini and Elias Barr. But if it's 140 seconds, that is a brutal penalty to be added on for a drive-through. Hershey's managed to put himself in closer to Toth, but not much racetrack left to go before they see the checkered flag. And I don't think Hershey is even close enough for a Hail Mary dive into the bus stop chicane. So this is going to be the race win for Sander Toth. They come around to the final chicane for the final time. Sander Toth crosses the line to take the win here at Spa, followed home by Hershey. Next around the final corner will be Fotis Galenos for P3 in the gold split. Next to bring it home will be Richard Christie in the number 38 McLaren. Followed not far behind by Jan Nicholas Vesselberg in the number 108 McLaren. Maitland Price brings it home in P6. Being followed home by Andy Behan, the first of the bronze split drivers to cross the line. And just behind is Joe Wright for P2 in the bronze split. Next is Torben Paulik, the P9 in the overall standings. Florian Sachs, P10. Glendy Dionysus in P11. And then you've got a feel for Niet Vargas, was fighting for the lead of this race not too long ago, now brings it home in P12. And then in P13 is commentary zone, Paul Glover, then Leonard Chungle, Kai Zaransky, Liam Galvin, Rainer Shaw crosses the line, P17, P4 in the bronze split will be Michael Bell, and then Peter Gilleneck, who we did see in the wall a few times during this race, done well to recover from that and bring it home in P5 for the bronze split. Then there's Romain Fabini, Jakob Sorensen, Ed Turrell. Next will be Elias Barr, Marek Trittle. The final of our drivers to see the checkered flag on this lap will be Hugh Morris. So, thank you for watching, everyone, and thank you for all our drivers for taking part. Do tune in next week for our finale at Barcelona. I've been your host, Roy Waller. Thank you very much for watching, and have a lovely evening.